Hello and welcome to Tuesday. We did it. We finally did it.
Did what?
We watched season 1 of Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yeah.
We spent several months watching Dragon Ball, and we finished up Dragon Ball, and then we on the final season, the season 5 review of Dragon Ball, we talked about how we were going to watch Dragon Ball Z. We were trying to decide between Z and Kai and chose Z, and we finally finished. We finished watching Dragon Ball Z Season 1 on Blu-ray, so this is going to be our Dragon Ball Z Season 1 review. First, as a quick reminder for anyone who didn't see it, the reason we chose Z over Kai was just because we wanted to see everything. It's really what it comes down to.
Even the filler.
Even the filler. Which, to some people get that, and some people think it's crazy. If you think it's crazy, watch Dragon Ball Kai. Because it's, I mean, I haven't seen the whole thing, but I've seen a tiny bit at the beginning, and it's really snappy. It's like boom, 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 boom. Like, all the stuff that we watched in this happens in like 15 episodes. Does that blow your mind?
How many were in this?
39.
Oh, man.
So, Season 1 is 39 episodes, and from what I understand, all of the Blu-ray sets, all of these Dragon Ball Z Blu-ray sets are divided pretty well into the actual sagas, and Dragon Ball wouldn't like that. In Dragon Ball, it just cut out in the middle of like a storyline, and you're like, well, I guess I have to buy the next one. This one does a pretty good job of stopping where it needs to stop, because this obviously starts with the very beginning, and it goes until Gohan and Krillin and Bulma are out in space for Namek, and that's a good stopping point for where this is. But because they do it that way, some of these Blu-ray sets have more episodes than others. Like this one's got 39, but the next one only has 35, and I think the one after that has 33. So like they kind of move. Some of them you're going to get more episodes than others, but I mean I think it's better to be divided up like that. Do you want to give a quick recap in your own words of what happens in Season 1 of Dragon Ball Z?
So like in the beginning, and then
what? So like right from the first episode, what happens? Because I'm curious to hear your retelling of this.
Gohan and Goku are like, let's go see Roshi and people, because you've never met them in your entire life. My best friends in the world. And then they go, and then Raditz,
yeah.
I was calling them all vegetable names. Raditz shows up and he's like, hey, you're my brother, kill everyone and I take your son.
Also, I'm gonna blow your mind here. If Raditz is supposed to be radish, like Vegeta's the first few letters of vegetable.
I got that.
Oh. Anyway, continue.
And he takes Gohan, and Goku's like, no, my son! And Piccolo shows up, and he's like, we need to go fight him. And they go. And they barely fight him, and like barely kill him. And then Goku dies, and he goes to Spirit World and spends forever. Like, oh my god.
I got the run along Snake Way!
Like, I was joking, like, maybe Goku, like, because he sleeps sometimes. Like, maybe he slept and woke up and ran the opposite way for a while. I was pretty convinced of that. And then silly things happen, like he falls off. Silly.
He falls off and winds up in hell.
And then
he gets
like,
attacked by Princess Snake.
Yeah, like, oh my god. And like Gohan and everyone else trains forever with Piccolo. Well, not all of them with Piccolo. And then like Vegeta and what's his face, the tall bald one, Nappa, show up, and everyone tries to fight them, but they all can't. And practically everyone dies.
But they can't.
They aren't good enough.
They're terrible.
And then, like, Goku finally shows up, and he's like, I'm here! And then, like, Nappa dies somehow. I don't remember now.
Vegeta kills him.
Oh, Vegeta kills him. That's right, because he, like, couldn't defeat Goku, and Goku was, like, ready to, like, do him in, and he was like, you suck, and killed Nappa. And then, like, it really sucked fighting Vegeta for a while, and then finally, like, Goku's like, I'm an ape, or Gohan's like, I'm an ape, and, like, crushes him. And then they let him get away. And then they're like, no, everyone's dead, and there's no Dragon Balls, and everything's terrible. And then they're like, but wait, we can go to Namek, and they find the ship that Kami arrived in, and then they, like, start going.
That was pretty good. The way you told it made it sound like this was the worst experience of your life.
I hated Snake Way. Every time it would cut to it, I'm like, no. Oh my god.
And the thing is, they cut to it several times an episode of
And
Goku.
Goku's like, I'm running.
Yeah, literally of just 4 seconds of Goku. I gotta hurry. Like if it
I'm
wasn't,
hungry.
yeah, man, I really need something to eat. 5 episodes of that, and then on the 6th episode, oh man, I can eat clouds. And then like 2 episodes later, man, I'm really hungry.
And then the guy shows up and he rides the thing and falls off and like, and he has to start over. Oh my god.
Sorry, I really enjoyed hearing your retelling of that. I might ask you to do more retellings of these seasons. Dragon Ball Z is fun.
I enjoyed it, but like, oh.
I feel like, having just come out of Dragon Ball, I feel like Dragon Ball Z handles filler better.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Dragon Ball's filler, especially at the end, was awful.
Yeah, it was, well, the last 6 episodes now are just notoriously bad in my mind. But
fan.
But like, I think the problem is the filler in Dragon Ball wasn't bad. It's just because the last 6 episodes were filler and they were the worst ever. It's tarnished my thoughts of all of the filler in Dragon Ball. I'm like, no, Dragon Ball's filler was terrible. When in actuality, it probably wasn't that bad.
Snake Way was awful.
But compared to Snake Way, it's pretty bad. See, there's a lot of stretching events.
Yeah, I'm seeing that.
You're gonna get. Just wait. There's so many things. Where I'm like, man, I wonder what that's like in Kai. I bet in Kai that takes 1 episode. In Dragon Ball Z, it's like 12. Mao did a pretty good job of summing up the season, though. It starts off very calmly, but also it starts off calmly, and I think the reveal was really cool because for me, obviously I've seen nearly all of Dragon Ball Z, and I knew that Mao hadn't, and it's one of those things, like, I don't know how much she knows from pop culture, and on the first episode, she did not know Goku had a son. And she didn't know who that was. Like, in the title sequence, she was like, who is that? And then it starts, and like, you piece it together really fast when you watch the first episode, but she was like, oh my god, Goku has a son.
It was so cute to see them interact.
And then, immediately, the father is dead, and the son is taken by a green man who's like, you will train.
Gohan was really whiny at first. I'm really glad he's not whiny anymore.
Yeah, he got over that.
I mean, he was a little kid, but...
Well, I think that's also... I mean, I think that's one of the places where Dragon Ball Z probably excels a little bit over Kai, is that some of this filler is not in Kai, but some of the filler, I think, is kind of necessary at the very beginning of Dragon Ball Z whenever you're trying to show that Gohan had to go through a lot of crap. I mean, in Kai, I believe that's still kind of in there, but not to the same extent. So when you watch all of the filler in Z, you have a lot of extra episodes where it shows, Gohan going through all of these trials and these emotional things, and it helps you better understand how difficult it must be for him and why, whenever the Saiyans finally get there, he's so scared. He's gone through a lot, and it also helps better explain his connection to Piccolo.
The Stockholm Syndrome?
Yes, his Stockholm Syndrome, because he really idolizes Piccolo, and even like whenever they get on the ship to Namek, like he's brought the clothing for Piccolo, and Krillin's like, man, you really like Piccolo, and he's like, yeah, just as much as my dad. So that, I don't know, having a lot of that filler in there kind of helps. And I understand Snake Way is a drag, but
Piccolo would turn out to end up good.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
And the thing is, you've always heard of like Piccolo learns to drive and stuff, and that must have seemed really weird.
It did.
Without knowing the context of he becomes good. Like, man, why would he learn to drive? Like, Goku, I'm gonna kill you, but first,
teach me to drive.
I need a driver's license. Let me quickly take a tangent to talk about the actual Blu-ray disc itself, and it will only do this in season 1 unless something drastically changes. But I know there's a lot of people who don't like this, and they don't. It's not that they don't like Dragon Ball Z; it's that they don't like the Blu-ray release.
Because of the widescreen pan and scan?
Because of the widescreen. Dragon Ball Z is originally a full-frame show. It's 4:3 or some other crazy cropping thing that's similar to 4:3. And a lot of people want to watch it that way. And to be honest, I would probably watch it that way if it was available, but for whatever reason, Funimation has decided to not release it in full frame. Now, Dragon Ball Kai is full frame, and you can watch it full frame that way if you'd like. But they decided that they wanted to do a widescreen format, do pan and scan, and actually move it around. It's not like they just punch in and they never move anything. They actually move it around as needed. And the only thing that I had ever really seen is I'd seen like a clip here or two on YouTube, and I had seen screenshots before we actually got this and watched it. And I got to tell you, it's fine. It's fine. Now, what did you think?
I didn't know.
Exactly. There's not. I don't feel like there was one time where I was thinking, I can't see. You know, there wasn't any point where I was like, I can't see what's off screen. You know, like what's over there. There was not. I mean, they did a great job. They really did. I mean, I completely understand if you're a purist and you're like, man, I really want to see the full frame, and I get you. And if you want to watch it full frame, then hunt down whatever it is, the old Dragon boxes that go for like hundreds of dollars on eBay, or you know, find it otherwise. But for anyone else, either fans of the series or new to the series, this is fine. This is honestly fine. I think the first 2 episodes, I had the feeling of like, man, we have a lot more, like, there's more extreme close-ups than there used to be, and it's because if they were already doing a close-up, then obviously it has to get closer. But that effect, that feeling, wore off by the end of episode 2. Like, then it just felt normal and natural. They did a really good job. It feels high definition. Like, it's kind of hard to explain, but like, it looks better than Dragon Ball by a lot. Like, having just watched Dragon Ball on DVD, going to this Blu-ray release, they did an exceptional job cleaning it up. It looks amazing, and it actually looks high definition. It feels like it does belong on Blu-ray. I'm also finding that I don't remember a lot of stuff, because like I remember vague details, but it's actually, since I've seen like the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, it's been a long time. Like, I watched it in college, and that was a refresher. I think we watched the first 3 sagas. But then after that, I don't have a whole lot of recollection about things.
You've made comments like, oh, they do this first?
Yeah, like there's been a lot of times where I know, sometimes I'll know the outcome of a situation, but I won't remember how it happened. And she'll be like, so what happens? And I'm trying to like think about it, and then it happens completely different, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I remembered that Krillin uses the Destructo Disc somewhere, and that the way I remembered it was Krillin kills Nappa with the Destructo Disc, and clearly that doesn't happen, which means that probably somewhere else in the series Krillin kills somebody with a Destructo Disc, because I was like, yeah, he kills Nappa with the Destructo Disc, and then Vegeta kills Nappa. The one thing that was very clear to me was Yajirobe. I knew Yajirobe was there and was going to cut off his tail or whatever. But other than that, like, there's been quite a few things where I wasn't really sure. So it's actually exciting, because not only am I feel like I'm getting a good refresher, but this is the first time I've ever seen Dragon Ball Z having seen Dragon Ball. And it's nice, because you feel more connected to the characters. Like, even Chi-Chi, who in Dragon Ball Z is the worst character ever.
I'm still not fond of her.
She's so terrible.
Overbearing?
Like, yeah, and the thing is, she wasn't really like that in Dragon Ball, you know? When she was young. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could see that kind of starting, but in Dragon Ball Z, it's really bad. I mean, they ham it up so much that it kind of feels like a parody of itself, I guess, in a way. But at the same time, like, it's hard to listen to her sometimes. But I've really enjoyed watching this again. I also don't feel like I ever seen the show uncut. There's been a few things where I'm like, I don't remember that. Remember when they were in Princess Snake's castle and what the one girl plays Russian roulette. Never seen that before. I feel like I would remember that. That stuck out, and I was like, I've never seen that. So I don't think I've ever actually seen Dragon Ball Z uncut before. So there's a lot of cool experiences. I'm getting to see it high definition, and I'm getting to see it uncut, and I'm getting to see it after having seen Dragon Ball. So this is like the definitive viewing experience for me. Anyway, so that's it for our review. Now this will be fun. Before we stop, I want to ask you, based on the information that we have after having seen Season 1, what do you think is going to happen next in Dragon Ball Z?
They're gonna get to Namek.
Okay, we're going shallow here. I mean, have you thought about, like, past that? Like,
No.
not really, just
No.
they're going to get to Namek? Because all we know right now is that Namek has Namekians. We know that there's like at least 100 on there or something, and they have the power to make Dragon Balls. Okay, well, thanks for thinking.
Those are things I know.
Thanks for thinking far ahead on this. They get to Namek. Maybe they don't.
I think they do.
They do. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you want to discuss Dragon Ball Z, do so below. Keep it to the first saga. Keep it the first 39 episodes, please. We are working forward in this series, and you know, we're going to immediately jump into Season 2, and things start getting interesting in Season 2 and 3. Season 2 and 3 are kind of combined, in my opinion. Like, I don't think of them as separate seasons. I think of them as one big season. And the other thing, and Matt was talking about this, like, with me talking about like events, and I'm not really sure where they go. Where the heck is Garlic Jr.? Where does that go? Because I kept thinking, I was like, when does this happen? It must happen after Season 3, because there's nowhere else for it to fit. I kept waiting.
I don't even know who
I
that
kept
is.
waiting. I thought, and the stuff that wasn't making sense because everyone was dead, and I'm like, where does this go? It must happen after Season 3. You're gonna love that part. Oh, and you got to see Korn again.
I love Korin. He's such a jerk.
The first line, his first line in Dragon Ball Z, is Goku coming back from the dead, jumping off of Kami's lookout, and as he's passing by Korn, he goes, "These are my last 2 sensu beans, Goku. Give him hell." That's like his first line in the series. It's
You
just,
do have a really good Korin voice.
Do I? Thank you.
Did you voice Korin?
Yes, I actually voiced Gohan in Dragon Ball Z. Now, if you want to get the holy water, then you'll be able to increase your strength 4-fold, Goku. But you have to use your power pole to get up to Kami. Mr. Popo will train you. That's it. I'm sorry. We're done. Talk about Dragon Ball Z, and let's be back tomorrow, shall we? I mean, let's meet back tomorrow, shall we? I think I'm starting to lose it as time goes on.